When I was 21, I transferred to a college in San Francisco. I checked out a room for rent on Craigslist. It was in a really nice 2-bedroom apartment. It was cheap rent and close to campus, so it was the ideal spot. The girl who lived there was 29 and her name was Beth. She was tall and wide, and she had jet black hair and wore pale makeup. She seemed nice, although a little quiet, but she seemed to like me and agreed to let me move in. So far, so good. A few weeks passed and I never really saw her that much. We didn't spend any time together, really. She would come home from work and practically run to her room. She would spend the whole night in there. She had this creepy high-pitched giggle, and I would hear her giggling through the walls all night. I wondered what the hell she could possibly be doing. Occasionally she would come out and talk for like 2 minutes, and she would always be slurring her words, so I suspected she was drinking a lot. Sometimes she wouldn't say anything and she would just stand in the hallway and watch me in the living room. I would turn and see her and be surprised and say, "Hello, Beth." And then there would be this long, awkward pause, and she would give out her creepy, high-pitched giggle. It was uncomfortable being around her. She gave me the chills. One night I woke up at around 2 a.m. because I heard what sounded like the front door being unlocked. I came out of my bedroom and all the lights were off, but I could still see Beth standing at the front door. She had her face against it, and she was turning the lock back and forth over and over again. And every time she turned the bolt, she mumbled, "My name. Max Barker, Max Barker, Max Barker." Seeing her standing in the dark and mumbling my name really freaked me out. And it doesn't help that she kinda looks like a bigger version of the girl from The Ring. I just quietly went back to my room and tried to sleep. One night I was watching Gladiator and she stumbled out of her room and turned on the living room light, forcing me to pause the movie, which was annoying. She then asked me if I wanted to hear about her ex-boyfriend. I was feeling uneasy, but I just said sure, and then awkwardly sat back to listen to her. 10 minutes into her story and she was so riled up. She was screaming at the top of her lungs about their breakup. I was worried that the neighbors were going to call the cops, and she wasn't listening to me when I was asking her to lower the volume. Amidst all of her screaming, one thing she said really freaked me out. She was in such a fit and yelled, "I'll slit his fucking throat." That was a big game changer. Suddenly I had no idea what this girl was capable of. She was practically a stranger, and everything I had seen was becoming alarmingly disturbing. After a few more minutes, she told me thanks for listening, and she startled doing her giggle. I got out of there pretty fast and went to my room to go to sleep. I had a pretty unsettled feeling about being in the house with her, and what's worse is that there was no lock on my bedroom door. I pushed the edge of my dresser in front of it to act as a little barricade. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of my dresser scraping against the floor. Beth was pushing the door open. I turned on my light, shouting at her to stop. I could see her through the opening of the door. She was so drunk and had this insane look in her eyes. I pushed the door closed and yelled at her to go to bed. I could hear her walk back to her room, but I couldn't fall back asleep. The next morning when I went out into the hallway, my heart dropped. I saw one of her steak knives was on the floor by my door. I got goosebumps all over my arms. All I could think about was her saying she would slit that guy's throat. I confronted her about it, and she said she didn't remember trying to push my door open. She said she didn't even remember telling me about her ex. I had enough. My lease was month to month, so I found a new spot and moved out. About a month after I moved out, she contacted me. I was at the movies and my phone was off. When I got out, I turned my phone on, and to my shock, I received in 40+ text messages that she had sent me over the past 2 hours. They were all just insane texts that ranged from everything between, "Hi, how are you?" to "I fucking hate you." It was insane. I didn't respond and I never heard from her again. I always wonder if I hadn't set my dresser in front of my door, would she have quietly come into my room and slit my throat? It freaks me out. I recently had what was probably one of the worst days I have ever endured, and it all started with a phone call at about 7 a.m. I picked up my phone to see who was calling me so early, but since I didn't recognize the number, I just put it on silent and fell back asleep. When I woke up again 3 hours later, I saw that I had 12 missed calls and 8 voicemails. Panic started to set in as I thought something horrible had happened to a family member. As I looked at all the missed numbers, though, I realized that I didn't know who any of them were. I thought that was really strange, since if something bad had happened to a family member, I should at least recognize one of the numbers. Then things only got weirder as I heard the first voicemail. "Hi, I was just giving a call about the house you have for sale. I saw the Craigslist ad and was hoping to figure out a time I could be given a walkthrough. Just give me a call back. Thanks." I figured that was just a wrong number and played the next voicemail. "Yeah, hi, I was calling about the house for sale on Craigslist. If you could give me a call back, I'd really like to know some more about those murders before I take a walkthrough. Thanks and have a nice day." After hearing the second voicemail, I was really starting to wonder what the hell was going on. The other 6 voicemails were all pretty much the same, inquiring about setting up a walkthrough and wanting to know about the murders. After I finished listening to the last one, I needed to find out what the fuck was going on. I called the last number to leave a voicemail, and a woman answered. When I asked her about the house she was calling about, she said there was an ad on Craigslist offering a house for dirt cheap, but it was only so cheap because the post said that a couple had been murdered in the house. I asked her if she could text me the link, and she assured me that she would. About 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed and I saw her number pop up on its screen. I had no idea what was in store for me by clicking on that link. When the web page opened, the coldest chill I have ever felt shot down my spine. What I saw was a picture of my house on a Craigslist for sale ad. What made it worse was that the pictures had been taken within the last week. You could see the pumpkin that I carved last weekend. Then I read the posting description. "I have this sweet little home I am putting up for sale. It is located in the town of removed, just a hop, skip, and jump away from the city. Enjoy all the seclusion and privacy that this house will bring you. My asking price is $25,000. Disclosure: there is a reason I am asking basically nothing for this house. The precious couple who lived there, a young man and woman, were murdered in the house a year ago. I figured I would get it out in the open now so that I'm only contacted by people who are not bothered by this. Don't let this little mishap dissuade you, though. The neighborhood is very safe, I promise. You can call," my name was listed, "at any time, day or night. I never sleep, and we can set a time to take a walkthrough of the house. My number was listed. I look forward to hearing from you soon." I felt like I had been socked in the gut. What the fuck was going on? How did they know my number? My name? I immediately called my girlfriend over to see. I could see the horror set in on her face as she looked at the ad. I didn't think I could feel any worse until she pointed out how our car was in the picture. "We were in the house when someone took these pictures." I immediately called the police to figure out what the hell to do. They informed me that I should immediately contact Craigslist to remove the posting. Other than that, there was really nothing else they could do at the moment. The only crime that had technically been committed would be trespassing, but since whoever took the pictures wasn't on our property anymore, they couldn't do anything else. I'm freaking the fuck out. My girlfriend was on the phone with her mom in hysterics for most of the day, and we have since been on constant alert. Every sound we hear makes us jump. I think the worst part is, I know there's really nothing that I can do. I feel so violated and so helpless. I was new to a big city and decided I didn't need my car anymore. I listed my car for sale, a 6-year-old Honda Accord. A normal, well-dressed man comes over to see it after a few phone calls about it. He's in his early 40s and his name is James. He's buying it for his daughter in college. I always have my guard up when dealing with strangers, but so far James is personable and seems legitimate. He test drives it with me in it. He does a thorough inspection. He negotiates the price with me for a while. He asked me to hold the car for 2 days so he can get the money and come pick it up. I agree. A 2-day hold where I won't sell it to someone else. 2 days later, James follows up and we meet again, midday normal neighborhood in an urban city. James and I test drive the car one more time. He gives me a Chase Bank cashier's check, which I said was fine. I tell him he needs to come to the bank with me to cash this check and to get the title notarized over to him. This is when he starts acting nervous. We're pulled over on the side of my street discussing this, James in the driver's seat and me as the passenger. I figured if he was going to steal my car, he would have 2 days earlier. Now I'm fairly comfortable with him. He asks me to do one more car inspection with him, then we'd go to the bank. I agree, but I'm very set on doing the transaction at a bank. As we both get out to inspect the car again, he jumps back in and floors it as I try to get back in with him. He pulls away quicker than I can react, passenger door wide open. I tried to run after him and then realized I'm not as fast as a car. There are bystanders and I hysterically ask someone to call 911. One guy does. I had my phone, but my adrenaline was through the roof and didn't even think of it. As I'm on a stranger's phone with dispatch, an undercover cop car with 2 officers pulls out of an alley 5 feet from me. I wave them down and hysterically explain my story. They tell me to hop in the back of their car, which I do. I implore them to hurry and we can catch this guy. He just drove off. I explain the car and plate and everything. They assure me that they will not go on a high-speed chase with me in the car, but will radio it in to all surrounding officers, which they do. The guy gets away and the officers drop me off at the police station to file a report. I file an insurance claim too, and am so mad at myself for letting this happen. I suppose it's better than if I was in the car with this guy, but I'm still mad. Of course, James' burner cell phone doesn't work as soon as he had left. I go through insurance and their protocols to ensure I'm not committing fraud for about 3 months. The week I'm supposed to get paid, I get a call from police. They found my car, 3 states over. James was working with a partner in crime. I don't remember his name, so let's call him Dickface. James stole the car and gave it to Dickface to sell, so it wasn't traceable back to James, and Dickface would have plausible deniability if he was ever questioned. Well, Dickface sold my car to an average Joe who actually did have a daughter in college who needed a car. The daughter tried to register her new car at the DMV and it came up as stolen. So the cops arranged for me, the average Joe, and Dickface to meet with them at the station for a little chat. Average Joe had contact information for Dickface as he paid him with a check, and there was a paper trail. Dickface denies any involvement with James, but agrees to give us the money back that Average Joe paid him if he can just leave without any problems. We all agree to this. Average Joe and I say his daughter can keep the car and I'll take the money from Dickface. So eventually I got paid for my car. But this experience sucked balls and was very stressful. Since then, I have bought and sold cars on Craigslist again. So no lesson was learned, except now I take a photo of the driver's license of all people I interact with at the start.